to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running. Hello, and welcome to Tough Love Tuesdays. I'm your host, Coach Caroline, and today I want to talk to you about this concept of starting over. As you may know, if you've been following us on social, we are putting together a program that we're doing in August, and we'll be doing it again in October, that we're calling the immersion. And basically what this was originally was the first 4 weeks when you joined our membership. What we set up is basically this immersive experience where you basically start from scratch for those 4 weeks. You just do what we ask you to do each day, and you build on the previous day's work and practice so that after the 4 weeks, if you've focused and done the work, you will learn the new movement pattern of running correctly. Okay? We found that if we can focus you for just this short period of time on very focused critical movement, that we can basically sort of reset your brain, reset your movement patterns so that when you do go out and run, you may still have some old habits. That can take time like anything, but you'll be stronger and able to correct those old habits and go back into your new movement pattern. Now, I bring this up because this happens to us all the time. This could be maybe you want to get up and work out. And so you do it great for about the first 2 weeks, and then something happens, a kid gets sick, you have a dentist appointment, and you fall off the wagon. You're going to fall back into your old patterns of how you used to get up in the morning. Well, sometimes you have to consciously stop yourself and say, nope, I'm going to go back. I'm going to consciously do my workouts every morning like I planned. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to help you kind of get into that rhythm, get into that movement pattern. What's really funny to me, I find it so interesting, is it was always the first part of the membership. But just because it's the first thing we want you to do doesn't mean that once you've done it, you're done. It's like anything. It's like brushing your teeth. Just because you do it once doesn't mean you don't have to do it again tomorrow, right? Just because I've given the analogy of driving, just because you checked your mirrors and you checked behind you yesterday doesn't mean you don't do that every time you get in the car. So we were noticing was that our members, maybe they take a break, maybe they've been with us for a while and they're just kind of, maybe work got crazy. Maybe they just stopped really concentrating on their practice and they started falling back into old patterns. And then they'd come back and say, what do I do? That pain's coming back, or now it shifted to a different spot, or I had to take a month off because I got COVID or something like that. Every time we would say, okay, go back to the immersion, start at square one, go back through it again. And it's amazing to me that people would say, oh, I know, back to the basics, or I have to go back and start from scratch, start all over. Why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we think that way? Because that's not what it is. It's basically going back to, it's not even going back. It's going to what you know works and reframing it in your mind and in your body to refresh and reset. Okay. So it's not about going backwards. It's about just reminding your body and your mind and your muscle patterns how they're supposed to move. People do this all the time. Elite athletes do this all the time. But it's not just athletes. It's musicians. It's singers. It's public speakers. You go back to the original things, the drills and the things that got you started. You do your scales. You warm up your voice. You practice in a mirror. You use your gestures. If you've been rusty or you've gotten off track, you go back to what you know. We do this with our diet all the time. We don't go back and say, oh, I've got to go back and I have to start eating better. No, we go, oh, I fell off the wagon. Okay, I'm starting to eat better Monday. Usually you should try to start eating better as soon as you decide to, but that's my point. is, why do we think that when we have to go through what we know, or refresh, or reinvigorate our knowledge base, that somehow we're going backwards? I like to think of it more as continuing education. I would much rather work with a doctor or a nurse or a dentist or a real estate broker that is keeping up on the most current trends, that knows what's going on, continuing their education. That's what I think of with the immersion, for a couple of reasons. As a co-founder of RunRX with Valerie, we've changed the immersion like 3 times. This is like our 4th iteration. And it's because we get feedback from our students. We get feedback from the people going through it. We see how maybe we went from a period where everybody was locked down and they were in their homes, and so they needed less space. Now they're working again. Their kids are out there. Maybe they were working before, but now they're working out of the home now. So it changes how they were thinking about the immersion. It changes how we teach the immersion. So we're evolving, our students are evolving, and we're just trying to make it better. We don't go and say, oh, it was bad before, we have to make it better. We don't talk to ourselves that way. We say, how can we improve? And then our students, with each iteration that we do, or even with each iteration that they do themselves, maybe they did it once and they go back and they do it 3 months later, or they go back and they do it 6 months later. Maybe it's the 4th time they've heard the same video that Valerie has given. And suddenly they go, oh my Lord, I never got what you meant by unweighing. I was totally not hearing it. That's how we evolve. The teacher appears when the student is ready. Okay? I'm like beating drums here, guys. When you're ready, you will hear it. So it's not about going back. It's continuing to evolve in your learning, and then resetting and saying, okay, this time through, I felt the fall faster, or this time through, my pull was much better. I was able to like reconnect with my core, and really was able to hold myself upright. So that's what I'm going to challenge you. If you're a member already, or you've been following us for a while and you've done the work and you haven't been through the 30-day reboot in a while, maybe go back. If you're a member, you want to join us in the immersion, reach out to support@runrx.fit. If you're new to RunRX, or you didn't get in this last go around, we're going to be doing it again in September. We're going to set up another virtual clinic where we're going to go ahead and help people through this stuff, and then we'll open up the next iteration of the immersion in October. This is your chance. I'm telling you right now, in August, that it's coming. So start thinking about it now, start planning for it now, and we hope you'll join us in October. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.